I think that when we look at Episode 9 as a film, one thing that a lot of people, including myself, am really looking forward to seeing in this movie is exactly how J.J. Abrams is going to be connecting this film to the prequel trilogy era. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, I gotta say, one thing that really fascinates me about this movie is how JJ is going to have the opportunity to really wrap up the entire Skywalker saga and tie this thing into the prequels and the originals and other forms of Disney canon, even Legend material as well. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art and storyboard descriptions, etc. Now, this is where things start to get very intriguing and tie into the prequel trilogy era and what kind of major connection will be made for Star Wars Episode 9 into the three movies that belong in the prequel era. Now, some of the actual set designs are that of the city of Theed. In case you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, the city of Theed is a city, a major one, based on the planet Naboo. Now, the last time we saw Theed was at the very end of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So these actual sets are actual buildings of what we saw in Revenge of the Sith that will be implemented into Star Wars Episode 9 in some way, shape, or form. And this is really raising a lot of questions. Is this a dream sequence, a vision, a flashback? Or could we actually see Leia traveling to the planet of Naboo, specifically the city of Theed? Could it have something to do with Padme Amidala and Rey, perhaps? The possibilities really are endless as to why there are sets emulating the buildings to that of the city of Theed from, of course, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith for the planet of Naboo. Now, J.J. Abrams, we do know that he's trying to really put in a lot of prequel references as well as a lot of prequel callbacks in this movie. There's also a lot of word that Tatooine will be making its way into Episode 9 as well, and that parts of Jordan, specifically over in Wadi Rum, that they filmed over there were used for some sequences for the planet of Tatooine. Now, that actually originates from one of the descriptions of Rey actually looking into a binary sunset. So that tells us that Tatooine most likely is indeed coming back. As for Naboo, what could this planet really serve in Episode 9? Why would they even go to Naboo, or what kind of part would Naboo even be used for a visual narrative in the form of a vision and or a flashback sequence? Now, I think that if it's going to be in the form of a flashback or a vision or dream sequence, it's probably and most likely going to be applied to either Rey or General Leia Organa. And I think that there's a high, pretty much high chance that this most likely has something to do with Rey. I don't know why, but there's also a chance that could have something to do with Leia. And the reason as to why I bring this up is because if you guys have played the Battlefront 2 campaign, it's a Star Wars video game, there is a actual cutscene sequence where a younger version of Leia, however older than how she was in Return of the Jedi, travels to the planet of Naboo over in Theed. And that's the first time that we get to see Leia on the planet Naboo in person. So that was honestly really cool to see. If you guys ever want to see, that sequence, it's all over the internet, and that could definitely give us a clue as to exactly what they will be doing with the planet of Naboo in Episode 9. Again, these sets, alright, these buildings that they're creating, these miniature buildings that serve as the ones that we saw in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, it could absolutely tell us that it also has something to do with maybe perhaps Padme Amidala and her grave/tomb perhaps, or perhaps something to do with other characters that we know and love from the prequel era. Now, I will say J.J. Abrams seems very ambitious. For him to try and really go and connect the prequels to Episode 9, it takes a lot of work and effort. It really does. You can't just throw this in there for no reason. It has to make a lot of sense. It really has to apply to either one of the legacy characters or one of the sequel trilogy characters in this movie that is moving forward and evolving throughout the story from start to finish. So the last thing that I really do want to go over is that we did hear this a while ago, is that they were looking into filming over in Italy. We're not quite sure if they, ended up doing that. We heard rumblings about them going over to Italy a couple months ago, that they planned on going over to Mount Etna, the same exact location that they used for Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith's Mustafar. So that was also yet another hint that we were going back to Mustafar. So you can see how all the connections are pretty much being made here, from Revenge of the Sith to Attack of the Clones to the Phantom Menace, and coming into Episode 9. I think it's great. Now, one thing I gotta say, if we look at the sequels, I think that this movie really is going to stand out from The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens. It really is going to be the Revenge of the Sith of the sequel trilogy, and what I mean by that is, it'll be the favored movie of the sequel trilogy. That's what I'm calling right now, and that's my gut feeling. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.